The gap between house performance and apartment performance is at an all-time high and is getting bigger. But does that mean that all apartments make bad investments? Well, no. And that's why you really can't rely on apartment market data if you're making property decisions. When you look at the data for, say, a city, it's all aggregated. That means that every single transaction that happens over a period of time is lumped in the bucket and reported as sort of one big number. But when you're making decisions on which property to buy, you really need to understand granulated data. That is, knowing what's happening on a property by property basis, applying deep market knowledge. Why? Because believe it or not, in a rising market, some properties lose money. Likewise, in a falling market, some properties make money. And these individual cases are swallowed up in aggregate data. It's not so bad for houses. That data, say in a city, roughly looks like a bell curve. The vast majority of it family homes, and at either end you've got some outliers. It might be small unrenovated cottages at one end, right through to massive waterfront mansions at the other extreme. But when it comes to units, the data is a lot more diverse. Lumped into the mix are townhouses and units and villas. You'll get studio apartments right up to 400 square metre beachfront penthouses. You'll have 1960s three-storey red brick walk-ups right through to enormous complexes that are like resorts with up to 10 strata plans and a community plan to boot. There are brand new high-rises with hundreds of apartments built on a tiny portion of land, right up to small Art Deco blocks of maybe 4 apartments built on a huge parcel of land. And possibly the most important element that confuses the entire equation is the type of property that most commonly sells at a loss. The first-time resale of a brand new apartment. They're thrown in the mix along with all the other profit-making sales. You get the problem? You could be forgiven for looking at this data and thinking, I don't want to buy an apartment. Only houses make good investments. And yet if you took that philosophy into, say, inner Sydney with a budget of, say, 1.5 million, well, you would run the risk of buying a C-grade house where instead you could be cherry picking the apartment market, buy an A-grade apartment and actually do better in the long run. Now, I'm all for more truth and transparency and trust in the property industry, and I'd really love it if you join the conversation.